So I think we are live now. So welcome everyone to this live session. So the topic for the live session is last 40 days preparation strategy, and we are joined by J. Sai Swathi. So she's a student at IIM Rohtak PGP batch, and she gave CAT exam in 2022, and she got 98.227 percentile. So that's great. So first of all, congratulations, Swathi, for that, and also thanks for joining this session. Thanks for agreeing to do this interview on such a short notice.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah. So we're going to start this interview in just a bit. But before starting this interview, let me first of all tell you about this All India mock test for CAT, which is conducted by Unacademy. So this mock test will be conducted on October 20th. That is this Sunday at 12:30 p.m. So if you are a CAT aspirant, आपको अगर अपने ज्वाइन करना है, आपको अगर आपकी स्किल्स आपको मॉक टेस्ट देना है, so you can test your ability to give a mock test on this session. So, what are the benefits of this mock test? So, you can get up to 100% scholarship on your CAT and GDPI, and you can also get your CAT form fee refunded worth up to 2400. So if you get in the top scorer of this mock test, you can get your fee refunded, and you can also gain your gift vouchers for lucky winners, and you can know where you stand among 50,000 plus test takers. So this mock test will be taken by 50,000 plus students, so you can see where you stand amongst 50,000 people. And there will also be detailed test analysis for after you give this exam. And by the way, how's preparation going for your for a CAT exam, CAT aspirants? So let me just see the stream, and we should be live by now. 99 percentile. So yeah, we're live. All right, so let's start this interview in just a bit. So let me tell you how this interview will go. So I'll ask Swathi 8 questions, and which will be related to her CAT strategy and some preparation tips. And in the end, there will be 10 minutes for Q&A. So prepare your question and answers. Prepare your questions, and they will be answered by Swathi. And let's start this interview. So first of all, Swathi, what was your overall CAT percentile, and how did you prepare for the exam?
Right. So I scored 98.27 percentile in CAT. And for those of you who are worrying and panicking that this is such a short notice, how do we prepare in 40 days? Let me tell you, I just took nearly 40 to 45 days to prepare for this exam and to get this percentile. So no matter where you are right now, you can achieve this percentile. It is within your reach, it is within your ability. So don't panic. The preparation strategy, I will elaborate the preparation strategy in detail. But to keep it brief, it's about mainly practicing, rectifying, identifying your mistakes, and then rectifying and working on it and ensuring that you do not repeat those mistakes in the next mock. So that's how this is a reiterative process, and you have to keep going at it, not willing to give up. That's the whole point.
Yeah, that's very helpful. So moving on to the next question. So which section or sections? Where is it? So which section or sections did you find the most challenging, and how did you overcome those challenges?
Right. So I found a couple of sections challenging. I'd say I found VARC quite challenging. I know that is the dreaded section among aspirants, and people are scared by the thought of reading long passages with which are they're really heavily verbose, right? Some of the meanings they're quite tough to comprehend. And the way to go about dealing with VARC, what I did at least was to not rely on one source or one material for my preparation. I used multiple sources. I relied on newspapers. I used to watch the news. And ensuring that I have diversified resources means that I'm well prepared to tackle the challenges. This improved my comprehension ability. VARC is actually about comprehension. It's not just about reading and just answering the questions. You really have to understand what the passage is trying to convey. So you have to go a step further than reading. In order to understand it, you have to improve your reading skills, and you can do it by referring to multiple resources rather than relying on just one way or one medium of extracting information.
All right, so that's very insightful. So, and again, how did you manage your time during the exam? So, as we all know that CAT exam can be
Yes,
very stressful, and it can be very hard to manage time. So, and
right.
what was your approach to solving questions?
Right. So you candidates will be hard pressed for time. This is a race against time. So time management is of crucial importance here, and you have to ensure that you take timed mock tests as well. Just because it's a mock, do not be negligent. Do not be careless in taking your mocks. Make sure that they are timed. And as far as time management strategy is concerned, each section will have a specific time allotted, so accordingly, you have to give your exam, and also make sure that if you are stuck at one question, do not be at it. You can jump to the next question and solve that question. So instead of wasting your time on that one question, nobody will judge you for solving a really tough question. Nobody will say, "Oh, that's a great job. You solved a question that nobody else could." It depends on the end result depends on how many questions you were able to solve within that limited time frame. So instead of being stuck at one question, move on to the next question immediately and see how many questions did you convert into positives. So once you have decided that you have a sufficient number in your armor, that sufficient number of questions that you have solved or are correct, then you can move on and solve the questions that are very difficult or that were little, brain racking to say the least. That is how you go about it. And also, Raghav, just to make sure the live is happening, right?
Yeah, yeah, this live session is happening right
I'm receiving messages that they aren't able to see the live.
there. Oh, okay.
So
Let me see. Let me
just
see.
make sure that the live
Let me check.
is
Let
in
me check.
process.
Yeah, live session is happening.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah, it is showing. It is showing on my YouTube channel.
Okay,
YouTube.
great.
So it's happening. Yeah. So you articulated well. So how do you go about CAT exam? So first you should solve your easy question, which your strengths, or you should start with your difficult question.
Absolutely. You should start with easy questions. The thing about CAT is it's quite unpredictable. You don't know which questions you'll be able to, hit the mark, which questions you won't be able to. So do not assume that because, say, one area is your strength, reading comprehension is your strength, or certain area, verbal ability is not your strength. So do not go simply by your strengths and weaknesses. Actually, see the question paper in the exam hall and examine each question and decide which questions you'll be able to solve, and then prepare your strategy accordingly. Do not go with a preconceived notion that I'll solve everything in arithmetic and leave everything in geometry. That is not how it works. Given the unpredictable nature of the exam, what I'd recommend students is go to the exam hall and then judge by having a glance at the paper and then deciding it for yourself then and there. And solve the easy questions first. And if you're stuck at any question, do not waste further time in that. Some people, because say for example, I attempted a question, I initially looking at the question, I felt like I'll be able to solve it, but halfway through the question I realized that, oh my god, this question is not for me, or there's something tricky about this question that I'm not able to solve. At that point in time, you have to make a decision to leave that question despite investing certain amount of time in it, and then move on to the next question. People make this, we learned this concept in MBA also, called sunk cost fallacy. Because I've invested so much time in it, I may always invest, even I may even, I may go ahead and invest further time and then solve the question. Like I said, CAT exam is about how many questions you're able to solve in a limited amount of time. It's not judging how difficult a question you're able to solve. Therefore, do not step into this bias of sunk cost fallacy. Leave the questions that you find difficult or challenging, even if you've invested some amount of time in it, and move on to the next question.
All right, so that's very great. Next question: did you take any mock tests, and if you did, how did they help you in your preparations?
Right. So mock tests are very crucial in the prep for your exam. They actually, are a preparatory ground. They tell you your strengths and weaknesses. You can analyze yourself based on your mock tests. What I've noticed is that students shy away from taking mock tests because they're disappointed by low scores. This is a common phenomenon across aspirants, and I faced it myself. I used to score quite low in the mocks. So the thing is, the difference between those who are able to go ahead and crack it and those who don't crack it is that they are not they are disappointed by low scores, but they still persist. They have that perseverance and tenacity to go ahead and solve the mock papers despite getting low scores. They're willing to work on themselves and improve upon themselves. These are the things that differentiates a successful candidate from those who weren't able to clear CAT. I wouldn't call someone a failure. I don't think any exam will, label someone as a success or a failure. So if you think that you're disappointed by your mock scores, be rest assured that everyone is sailing in the same boat. Do not let that hamper your preparation in any way, and do not let that stop you from taking more mocks. So be at it, persist, work on your weaknesses and strengths. And I know that it could be really painful to process getting such low scores in mocks when we are competing at a high level, national exam. So all of these can be really scary, or you can be a little apprehensive. But those who even scored 99 percentile or even above, they all have scored low marks in mocks. It's quite common phenomenon, and you have to start somewhere. You can, even if you are scoring really low, it's nothing to there's nothing to worry about. You can always improve yourself. So the only reason you'll be disappointed, you for you to worry, is if you are in a fixed mindset. Means if you believe that this is something that is set in stone and you can't do anything about it, you can't change anything about it, which is not the case. You have so many resources, whether it's Unacademy or any other channel or anything. You have so many resources at your hand now. You can make use of these resources and change it and actually develop and improve yourself, no matter how low you score in the marks.
So what would you recommend? Like, how often should an aspirant should give a mock test in a week? Like,
Right. So there's no set strategy. I personally gave, I think, a couple of mocks every week. So it's up to each individual, but definitely give at least, I'd say, 10 to 15 mocks before you give your final CAT exam. And I think this is the ideal time to start giving mocks. We are like 40 days away from the CAT exam. So this is the ideal time to begin giving mocks and analyze your preparation and see where you're lacking. And do not let that one sole mock performance set the tone for your preparation. Use it as a ground to improve yourself rather than worrying about the score. The score is not where your focus should be. Your focus should be on the areas of strengths and weaknesses. You should be able to jot it down and then figure out from that.
alright, so I think everyone have has understood the importance of mock test. So also, Unacademy is also doing a mock test on the 22nd October at 12:30 p.m. This is all India mock test. So if anyone of you is thinking to give a mock test, you can give this mock test. So what are the benefits of giving this mock test? So first of all, this mock test is being given by 50,000 test takers, and you will know your standing among these 50,000 test takers. And you can also get up to 100% scholarship on your CAT and GDP if you are a top scorer in this mock test. And also you can get your CAT form fee refunded worth rupees 2400 if you get top scores. And there are other benefits also. You can get gift vouchers for lucky winners, and there will be a detailed test analysis in the end. So if you are planning to give a mock test, you should give this curated to match the this mock test is curated to match the CAT exam pattern. So this will be a very beneficial resource to you guys. So now let's move forward to our fifth question. So what was your strategy for improving your weakness? Like, everyone has a weakness in the CAT
Yes,
exam.
yes,
Someone's might be like quant or
yes.
data interpretation. So then, and
Uh,
how did you
So
track
I'd
your
say,
progress?
right. I get your question. So what I'd say is there are three sections in CAT. Everyone knows QA, DILR, BARC. So instead of limiting yourself to looking at the broad-based or bird's eye view of these three sections, what you do is you look at the subsets in each section. For example, in QA, you have arithmetic, you have number system, you have geometry, and in BARC, you have several components. DILR, you have data interpretation and logical reasoning. So you can subdivide each of these broad components into subsets and track each of this subset by taking mocks. I hope I'm able to convey my point. By doing this, what you'll be able to do is that you will be able to exactly pinpoint your weak areas instead of saying, oh, my weak area is quant or my strength is VIRC. That's very vague, right? We don't know what to do with the weakness of quant is huge. It's massive. How will you tackle such a weak area of quant? So if you're able to subcategorize each of these huge areas. And if you're able to pinpoint your weaknesses by taking mocks, that will be easier to track. What you can do is you can create an Excel sheet. You can write down all these three major areas and then write down the subtopics in each of these areas. And every time you take a mock, you will write the number of questions that you got right, number of questions that you thought were right but were actually wrong. So those were the questions that will be negatively marked, and the number of questions unattempted. So from this, you will be able to track that, okay, in quant, in this particular number system, in this particular area, I thought I was doing good, but apparently these are the mistakes I made. So, and also in bracket, what do you write? So suppose if you gave a question and you thought it was right, but apparently it is not. Suppose you got it wrong. What do you write is you write the reason for it being marked negative, reason for you getting it incorrect. Is it a silly mistake, or did you get the concept wrong? What was the main reason? So if you write it down in brackets, if it's a silly mistake, you'll know that you have to be more cautious next time you give an exam. You don't want to make silly mistakes and lose out on marks, especially in an ultra competitive exam like CAT. So prepare an Excel sheet, write down these three main areas, write down the subtopics, and write down which questions you got right, number of questions you got right, number of questions you got wrong in each of these subcategories. And then you get the final score in each of these subcategories, and you'll also know the reason why you're getting the questions wrong. If it's lack of conceptual clarity, you can always get that cleared thanks to the number of resources available these days. If it's silly mistake, you'll know that you have to be more cautious. And you will also know that there are some areas that are best left alone. So you will also be able to figure out those areas and leave them alone. So this is the best way to track progress. And you need not limit these to your ultimate grand mock test. You can also give mock tests in each area and also track the subcategories or subtopics like I mentioned. This is one way to go about it. And this worked for me.
All right, so that I think is a very helpful tip for all the CAT aspirant, and a lot of people have started to join in our live interview session. So how's CAT preparation going? Tell me in the comments. A bad, good, or very good. Let's see how many of you are doing good CAT preparation. So let's move forward with our next question. So, what advice would you give to someone who is preparing for CAT 2023
Right.
and aiming for a high percentile?
Right. So if you're preparing for CAT 2023, depending upon your personality and the kind of student you are, you could be at different stages. You could be someone who's already, been through the whole course once and giving mocks, or you could be someone who's just starting, scratching the surface now. So the thing is, no matter where you are at this point in time, you can make up your mind and emerge out as a topper. So do not worry about what you have done so far. Start worrying about what you will do right now. That is the first tip that I want to give, because people panic a lot. They think that this is not enough time. Maybe I'll give next year. Maybe this year is not the right time. So no, you will end up in the same situation next year as well. This is how time runs. So do not think that a lot of time is lost, or I don't have a lot of time in my kitty to prepare for CAT. So no matter where you stand, you can emerge out as a topper. What you have to do is you have to analyze yourself first. The best judge of yourself is you. So in order to analyze yourself, even if you've never given CAT exam, or even if you don't know the syllabus, the first thing I want you to do today is to take CAT 2022 or any other paper and just solve it. Sit down for 2 hours, solve the entire paper, and no matter what score you get, this will be the basis, this will be the beginning, and from this you can build yourself slowly. So the first thing you should do today, regardless of your preparation stage, is to give a mock. That will help you assess yourself. And from here, what you can do is you have to come out with a plan, because without plan, it can be really really fuzzy. Time runs by really quickly, and before you realize, you will be applying, you must have already applied for the exam. Before you realize, you'll be giving the exam. So plan well, devote, I'd say, around 1 to 1.5 hour every day for mock. It need not be a 2 hour mocks also. You can give like 45-minute ka mocks and 1 hour mocks also. Devote around 1.5 to 2 hours to mocks every day. And apart from that, devote at least 3 hours for your prep. So these 3 hours, you don't have to divide it in terms of, equally in proportion to VARC, DI, and QA. Depending on your strengths and weaknesses from the mocks that you give, you can accordingly focus more on your weakness areas and improve upon that, and devote less time to your strengths. So this is something that you can utilize. I'd say 3 to 4 hours of preparation is kind of must and should, given that we are only 40 days away from the exam.
All right, so that's very helpful. So a lot of people are asking questions. So to all of them, we are going to take every question of yours in the end of this interview. So stay tuned. So next question: did you have any specific study material or resources that you find particularly very helpful in your CAT preparation?
Right. So the study materials are the same. The textbooks that are recommended, and I would say that don't be very choosy, or don't panic about what others are doing, or am I being left out? The FOMO of not studying certain materials. Please let go of all of these. No matter where you study from, what matters is what you do on the exam day. So the resources are innumerable. It's common for all CAT aspirants. I used a couple of books of the internet. I'm not able to recall the names right now, but they'll be available. The first thing that you Google when you say CAT books for CAT exam, whatever appeared, I picked those books and I started preparing. I never worried about I don't have this coaching institute material, or I don't have that. I might be missing out on something. This is not something that you should worry about. Just ensure that you're sticking to one material. The if your materials proliferate, this will only clutter your mind. Make sure that you consolidate your material and stick to one material. It could be any good book source that you find comfortable with. But more than book resources, you should focus on giving mocks and practice exams, right? So it's about practice and implementation rather than reading off the books or reading off your computer screen. That is not going to help you in the end. This is mainly for QA and DI also. Even DI is highly practice oriented. You have to practice a lot in order to be able to do well in the exam in DI. And DI is something, what I love about DI is you don't require any prior background knowledge. For example, for QA, if you're not, there's this perception that you have to be a mathematical wizard, which you don't have to be. You can still crack QA without being it. But people who are from maths background seems to have a distinct advantage. But with DI, that is not the case. It's purely relies on your logical reasoning and ability. So for all these, the most important resources I would say is practice. Practice from as many question papers as you can. Make sure that they're of good standard quality and from reputed brands or institutes. That is the only thing I advise. Don't go by anything on the internet. So when you are picking your practice papers, make sure they're of good standard quality and actually imitate the actual CAT exam, and they're of that standard, or probably even higher, so that you'll be able to, ensure that you are above what you'll be facing on the day of your CAT. So the resources, pick any three books for each of the subject, and then practice as many mocks as you can.
All right, so that's very helpful. So, and last question: how did you
Right.
stay motivated and focused during your CAT preparation journey?
Right. So this is the question that haunts all CAT aspirants. Motivation comes in ebbs and flows. It happened with me as well. You will be let down by your mock scores. You'll be let down by your peer pressure. Sometimes it's just this overwhelming feeling that I may not be able to do this, or looking at the competition, at the national level, it can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming. Way too many times, in fact. So the way to stay motivated is to remind yourself the purpose. Why did you give CAT in the first place? It could be anything. Nobody is going to judge you for your purpose. It could be to make more money, to land a decent job. It could be anything. Whatever your reason is, make sure that you write it in big bold letters, and if possible, stick it on a wall near your table or somewhere. But make sure that you're reminded of your purpose every single day. And whenever you feel that you are down in dumps, or your motivation is at an all-time low, look at your purpose. Remind yourself why you're doing this. Right. Apart from that, do not restrict yourself to only studies. Okay. There's so much more beyond studies. After CAT, you also have to give an interview where they judge your personality. They will not judge your knowledge there. They will not judge how much you got in DI or how well you did in BARC. All of that is done at CAT stage. So you also have to give an interview to get into IIMs. So they will judge your personality there. So make sure that you lead a well balanced life. Do not restrict yourself to studies. Make sure you engage in some sort of physical activity, whether it's going for a walk or going for a run or whatever suits you. Okay. and eat well balanced diet. You can take up yoga, meditation if that is something that interests you. I personally used to do both yoga and meditation. That acted as a stress buster in my life. I did it throughout the time of my cat prep. So that is something that you can do. And as far as focus and distractions is concerned, I was off social media completely. I did not have an Instagram account. I wasn't on social media. So this is something that that a decision that I took for myself. Now I don't recommend everybody to go off social media. I don't even think that's realistic. But the thing is, you should be able to set a limit, set a timer, make sure that you have timers on your apps. There are so many digital tools these days to for your well-being, for your digital well-being. You can make use of it, and you can, use technology to solve the problems created by technology. So you can. This is something that you can do.
All right, so that was very helpful. I learned a lot from this interview, and I think everyone watching this, might have learned a lot from this interview. And now we are going to Q&A session. We are going to take questions from the chat. So, first question. So, from data and finance aspirant. So, my timings running out while watching previous videos for concept. So, not getting enough time to practice. Additionally, I'm weak in quants. What to do?
Right. So, what you can do is that if you think your time is running out watching previous videos, you can figure out other ways of acquiring knowledge. Maybe if you self-study, if you read the concepts of a book, if you are more quick, you can do that. Or else you can just distill, like I said, figure out the subsets in quant, which specific areas that you're weak in, and make sure you watch only those videos and not the rest. And these are the two methods that you can follow. The weak in quant part is something that you can overcome only by practice, and you have to be really, really patient. You cannot change your quant score overnight. It will take time. It will take time. One is accuracy, and the other thing is speed. Both of these factors are really important. And first, I'd say get at accuracy. Make sure that you are accurate and you get your concepts right. Once you finish this stage, then you come to the next stage of doing it within time and ensuring that you maintain speed. That is the next stage. And achieving these two stages will take time. You will need a great deal of patience. Um, I'd say don't watch too many videos. If you think you're running out of time, stick to one channel and watch only one specific channel. That wouldn't take a lot of time. And also, maybe you can watch it on, I don't know, 1.5 times speed. I did that personally.
1.5x, yes.
Yes.
So, next question from Kashvi Shrivastav. What to do for BARC? Please tell, guys. So,
Right.
BARC section.
Right. So VIRC, I found it challenging, but eventually I did really well in VIRC. I got 99.9. So these tips could be really helpful because these are something that worked for me. The first thing about reading comprehension you have to remember is that this is not your high school passage. This is not something that you read a passage and then you'll be able to answer questions. Just copy paste lines from the passage into your answers in the question section there. That is not how it works. It is mentioned in the heading itself that it's comprehension. Comprehension means understanding. It means your understanding of the passage. And the passages, I must say, like I said, they're quite verbose. They're heavily loaded with jargon. So it does take some time. If you do not have good reading skills or if you're not a fast reader, this is something that will trouble you. That is why I recommend reading newspaper editorials highly. I cannot stress on this enough. Whether it's Indian Express or Hindu, your preferred source of newspaper, make sure you read as many newspaper editorials as possible. I can tell you that sometimes these are lifted straight off newspaper articles only, or sometimes some quality articles from some quality journals abroad. So if you have what I'd call an inclination to read, if you've developed a penchant, a liking to read, then this VARC becomes easy for you. This is what I did. I enjoyed reading books, but also I made sure that I read the newspaper editorials, which is the boring stuff, which is what people avoid. People love novels and stuff like that, but this is where the questions come from. So you have to develop some sort of liking towards reading and analyzing newspaper editorials so that you can improve your comprehension abilities. Apart from this, I'd also recommend watching news channels because reading of newspapers is not the only way to improve your vocabulary. And I'd recommend, like I said, multiple diversified sources as far as enriching your vocabulary is concerned. So I'd recommend listening to BBC News or any good podcast. I personally prefer BBC News podcast. There are also a couple of other podcasts, Harvard Business Reviews podcast that you can listen to, where you will get a good hang of the topics, current affairs that are happening in business world, and also simultaneously be able to enrich your vocabulary.
All right. So next question from Khyati Takral. How many hours did you devote to self-study?
Right, Khyati. So I devoted around 2 to 3 hours a day to self-study. Like I said, I was also volunteering at some other place. So my day did not consist of studying alone. So every single day, 3 to 4 hours for cat prep, followed by going out on a walk and then volunteering at a place. And these 3 to 4 hours do not include the BBC News or other extraneous newspaper articles. So I also loved reading. So I used to spend the rest of the time also reading newspaper articles and just improving my general knowledge. The exclusive sole prep for cat, I think, lasted for 3 to 4 hours.
And next question, how from Varun Sachan. How can I remove the inconsistency of my overall scores in the mocks?
Hello, Varun. Inconsistency of overall scores. What I understand by this is that you do well in one exam and you're not doing so well in the next mock, which is quite common given that CAT is unpredictable. So, inconsistency can be removed by looking at which areas are pulling you down in your overall scores. Despite being inconsistent in your overall scores, I'm sure there are some sections that you must be doing consistently well, and some sections where there's this inconsistency creeping up. So identify those subset of areas where you're doing well, those will be your strengths, and identify which sections where you're scoring well in one week and not so good in the other week, and find out the differences between the two, why you're able to do well in the last week or why you're not able to do well this week, and figure out whether it's conceptual clarity or just a silly mistake. Regardless of the inconsistency, please do not be inconsistent when it comes to giving mocks. You have to be consistent, whether your scores are consistent or not.
All right. And next question from Pranav Deshmukh. What is the number of attempt to secure in to get a call from a new IIM?
I'm not sure I understand the question, Pranav. What is the number of attempts? There's no such number of attempts to get a call. And getting a call from IIM depends on way too many factors that are beyond human control, to be frank with you. So you just focus on getting a high score in the CAT percentile. The other things, they include your 10th, 12th scores as well. So it's a complicated process. What is in your hand at the moment is to get as high a CAT percentile as possible to get a call from as many IIMs.
That's a great advice. So, and next question is from Divya. How did you complete your syllabus and solve mocks too?
Right. So do not focus on completing the syllabus to the T. The syllabus is vast and humongous. So focus on the previous year question papers. Look at the trend. Look at where the questions are coming from. I understand that questions come from arithmetic one year and not so many arithmetic the next year. So that variation exists. Despite that, you will be able to find the trend line where the maximum questions are coming from. So based on that, you can narrow down your subset areas, like I mentioned, and focus on them. I never focused on completing the entire syllabus as such. I focused on ensuring that all the concepts, say, covered in the last 4 or 5 years of CAT exams are covered by me. That is what I focused on. Apart from that, what was the other question?
Uh,
Yeah,
what
solve
was
mocks as well. Like I said, I think I already discussed mocks. So yeah.
mocks? So another question from Divya. What was your preparation strategy? As you said, you have started your preparation 40 or 45 days before the
Yes,
exam.
yes. My preparation strategy, like I mentioned, is this. So every day, 3 to 4 hours, I used to spend preparing for CAT. I started with a mock exam first. No matter at what stage you are, that will be the starting point of your CAT prep. So if you haven't started till now, the first thing you do is today, after this video, you will give a CAT mock exam, analyze where you stand, and from this, you will develop a plan. Say that these are your strengths, these are your weaknesses, and work on it every single day. Devote 3 to 4 hours understanding concepts and focus more on practice, giving practice exams and also solving the questions yourself. With time, you'll be able to improve your speed and accuracy.
So one should give a mock test, and
Yes.
Unacademy is also conducting a mock test on 22nd of October, which is the all India mock test. So 50,000 takers have already enrolled, so enroll yourself now for this mock test also. So what are the benefits of this mock test? So first of all, you can evaluate yourself amongst 50,000 plus mock test these takers, so you'll know where you stand among 50,000 students who are giving this mock test. And plus the top scorers of this exam will get up to 100% scholarship on CAT and GDPI, and they will also get CAT form fee refunded worth rupees 2400, and there will be other benefit also like gift vouchers for lucky winners, and in the end there will be detailed test analysis. So what are you waiting for? Enroll for this mock exam, which will be happening on 22nd October at 12:30 p.m., and prepare well, and hopefully you all can crack a CAT exam. And this brings us to the end of this interview. So thanks a lot, Swathi, for
Thank
your
you.
insights, for your answers, and I think everyone learned a lot from the session. And
Thank you, Raghav. I'd like to wish all the cat aspirants all the very best. Be confident. You got this. You will go and bell the cat for sure.
So yeah, this will be the end of this live session. Thanks everyone to tune in, and yes, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye. How to end?